Hello. So here's a little tutorial on my current threshold system for a network-wide setting. So what this does is that it reads the contents of a factory gauge, which also, of course, reads the number that's attached to. So it reads the contents and displays the number this sign. This uses a little bit of a trick from another video I will link below. I believe his name is My Sides. Sorry if I pronounced that horribly wrong, but it's basically like a clock. And he uses the same exact concept, it just expanded to a threshold switch level. So it reads the factory gauge, which goes to the display link. And by the way, in case you didn't know this, if you want to connect a factory gauge to display link, you can either put it directly on the factory gauge, which is a little bit weird and kind of hard, or you can just add, well, first you put an item in, and then you add a new connection, and then you put it to a display link. Then make sure to choose whatever mode you want, and then boom. Now you have a accurate display of whatever inventory you have on that sign. Now, because signs updates the package that a packager actually puts on a package itself, what this allows you to do is to keep on refreshing the address of a package each and every single time it goes through. So for example, if I remove that hopper for right now, if I pull this out, this package will be named 1110 TNT. Cool. But if I were to, let's say, change this, let's take out a few TNT. As you see, the sign changes. This one was already casted, so it's going to be the same exact thing. But this one will now be 1024 pieces of TNT. So we use that logic, we use that fact to actually set up a system that keeps on refreshing the package's name in which the observers over here read. Now, these observers have very exact filters, but you can scale it to basically any level you want. I believe right now, actually, well, just let me double check. Over here, I have two sets of filters, both a high filter and a low filter. Now, you don't need to be named low and high. This was just for clarification for both you as a viewer and me when I'm setting this up. But what you want, I wanted this to work like exactly like a normal threshold gauge on the default setting. So when it goes above a certain percent, this one over here will turn on. When it goes below a certain percent, a certain number, this one over here will turn on. Now, what this allows you to do is we're using the fact that we have a power latch here, which turns on from one side and also turns off from the other side. With that, it's a very key important feature that allows the system to work. So, once again, I said this one I want to be the high one, so when it turns on, which is the, I guess, vertical side, or the y-axis side, if you want to look at it as like transport into a plane, whatever. The vertical side is the high side, so I put the high filter in here. And if I put the low side filter over here, and this is whenever it reaches a certain low percentage, it will turn back off. Now, what you can do here, how these filters are set up is that I have package filters inside of here. And these are set in a very exact type of way. This character over here, it's like whatever the sign package is set to, is like, of course, going to be numbers first, followed by, for some reason, 3 spaces, and then the word. Doesn't matter how big or small the number is, it could be 0, it can be the integer limit. It's always going to be the numbers, 3 spaces, and 0. And that's what the package filters are set up to be. It's forever how many digits I want it to be. So in this case, this is 4 digits, 5 digits. So 4 digits and 5 digits. So 4,000, 10,000. And over here we have 100,000 and a million. And they're all set up in the same exact way, just with however amount of digits you want. So like 10 to the power of whatever you want, followed by 3 spaces and a asterisk, which represents all possible characters. Now, another key important part is here that these are contained inside of a set, I believe is what it's called. And the set basically is just saying for any address, doesn't matter what position it is in, use this filtering. So it's kind of like they do like a multiple checks in one package filter. And so each and every single check that I have here, so as you can see, we have both the 4,000, the 4-digit long and the 5-digit long numbers. These checks are both in here, but they're both contained in a list separated by a comma. Now, do remember, these are case sensitive. So if you were to put a space before a question mark, it has to, that will make the system fail because they're simply, the first character is not a space, it's always a number. So, the way I have this set up right now is that the low side is set to 0 through 500, and the high side is set through 1,000 through, I believe, a million. I believe it's a million. I didn't when I feel like at the time I wrote that sign, I didn't feel like actually setting one, but it's fine. So as you can see, since we're on the high side, each instance is set to 1024. This is above 1000, so this side is going to become activated. However, if we were to lower it, back it down to below 500, so let's let me take a bunch out of here. I think 3 more will go down. As you can see, the system turns off, and it keeps on pulsing each and every single time it's below 500. Now, if I do, I pick up one, oh, and we need 12 more, so hold up. Just do 11, just to show a point. Oh, I can't do math. 39, there we go. So as you can see, we have this set to 499, and it's still pulsing on and off, and makes sure that the system turns off. As soon as we hit 500, because of the setting that we have, it still stays on. But as soon as we do 501, as you notice, none of these sides are activated. That's because I just wanted to imitate the system exactly like a throttle switch. So the range in between 501 and 1000, technically nothing gets updated. And just because that's exactly how a threshold switch works in Vanilla Create, there's like a gap between where nothing gets pulsed or nothing goes to a higher bound or lower bound. It just stays in whatever state it was. But yeah, I have that defined by doing this. As you can see, I have, another important thing. If you use the square brackets, you have a kind of like a list of a range that you can possibly use. So I'm using the digits 1 through 4, so we can have 100 through 400, followed by any set of numbers, so the maximum for the first part of that list is 499, and then we have explicitly 500. And then that makes us also any number above 500 does not get counted. But as soon as we go below 501, actually you can see it starts pulsing again. Now there's also this lamp here which helps you indicate what's actually going on. It starts when the system's turning on, it's turned off. As you can see, if we put over 1000 in here, that lamp turns on. And if we take out so we're at 500, below 500, the system turns off. So yeah, it's very easy. It's a very cool way. It's a very use of the Grade 6 system. Allow you to have a network-wide threshold switch. Now, as far as for going in high numbers, for some reason, I'm not sure if this is a glitch or a bug or intended, or just a limitation of the, this Java encoding. But the integer limit is the highest that you can go with a number. So let me set this to the high standard because it makes it a little bit easier, like diagnose and show. So let me choose one of the things here. I think I have an egg. So let's choose egg here. Egg, make sure to update the name. Also, make sure to connect this. Make sure to update the name for the full number. The integer limit is, I believe, I forget how many characters long, how long many characters is. I think it's 7 or 14, whatever. It's a very high number. And as you can see, it gets dropped, and as soon as I remove, it actually activates, but as soon as I remove the access to the eggs, which I believe is right here, it will set itself down to 0, which will cause this one to activate because 0 is technically 1 digit long. And you can go up to the integer limit because that's all the Create can display. And even if I were to add an additional drawer setup with eggs, try to get a stack to put it in here because this drawers are weird. Copy that, grab that. We'll put an additional stack there. As you can see, it doesn't double the limit because Create just has a inherent limit of the integer limit when it comes to displaying, which is perfectly fine and makes sense. But yeah, so that is how you do a network-wide threshold switch with Create. It's a very cool idea. Oh, one last information. To make sure that the package always becomes filtered with the most accurate item, what I have here is just a pulse timer that's set to 5 ticks. You can of course set it to doesn't matter. You can of course set it to 2 ticks to make it a little bit faster, but I don't think that's worth it because it's updating so many times per second that it might actually harm some lag to your server. So I just set it to 5 ticks to make sure that each and every single time that this at least pulls out, it will be updated because 5 ticks, I think this happens once per second. So that's just one way to make so, but it's also not needed. I could have the system work perfectly fine if I switch this back to TNT. And grab it from JEI. Switch this back to TNT real quick. But yeah, as you can see there, it just takes a bit for you to even update. So you can always just add a timer to speed up that, speed up the progression of the updating cycle, so you can get a little bit more accurate of a number. Now, one last thing I want to talk about is that if you want to be less accurate but have a little bit easier time making the let's call it filters, what you can do. So I don't have an example set up, so I'm kind of have to do this live. But what you can do is that you can set this to a shorthand. And what you can do here is that for numbers 0 through 999, so 1 digit through 3 digit numbers, you can still do the basic setup that we have here of being 1, 2, 3 spaces, and asterisks. This will detect any single number that is in this exact format. Now, what you can also do. So for numbers above 3 digits, if I add a bit more, I can see notices a pixel K here. So you can shorten the amount of characters you needed by simply doing 1-K for 1000 numbers, so 1, 2, 3 spaces as always. Now asterisks, and as you'll notice, it will start noticing that. Now for 10K, which I don't think I can easily do with this setup right now, for 10K, all you would have to do is just do 2 of those. 3K is this. Then I believe 4K is technically a million. I don't have an easy way to get to a million, but it's either 3 of these, or it switches over back to 1, goes to an M, to a lowercase m like that, which I can show off. I can't show off 1 million, but I can show off the max you can go. So the max you can go is the integer limit, which it doesn't switch over to G for some reason. I'm not sure why. But what you can do is do 1, 2, 3, 4 M, then 1, 2, 3 space, and now if we switch this over back to eggs for the integer limit setup, switch that back to eggs. Make sure it's updated. As you can see, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and we set this one to 1, 2, 3, 4, so it would notice the integer limit. That's in case you don't want to use the shorthand, you don't want to use exact numbers. You can use the shorthand method to shorten the amount of characters you need to write out, so you can allow you to put more stuff into a list. So, for example, I can do like 1, 2, 3, 1K, then followed by. Do you want to do this? Here's a little trick you can do when you're writing these packages. I like to do 1, 2, 3 asterisks and just have that copy. So now when I write the list, I can just do 1K. Now we have one entry, 1, 2K, the entry, 1, 2, 3, K, entry. And another thing a very important thing to note is that there's only 25 character limits in here. So yeah, so now we have 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 all in one list, and if we want to do the millions, we do the same exact thing, just replace the K of N. But yeah, that should be everything to know about this setup. Also, a little fun fact, you can connect to creative drawers, and obviously, apparently my inventories work. I'm not sure to what extent but they do work. We show up in the stock ticker too. And I believe after some number, I'm not sure what it is. I doubt it's the integer limit that's specifically on million, but I think maybe past 100 million, or go over to the billion side is when it shows infinity. But these are actually infinite, so it doesn't really matter. But regardless, this is how the system works. And yeah, if you have any questions, leave them in the comment below. Preferably DM me on Discord, because apparently YouTube's not sending me comments. I can really feel bad for people in my other videos. I sent up a comment, it doesn't work. But yeah. Oh, and one small thing. You might run into a problem. I wonder if I can get it to show now. Actually, I know I can. Here. You might run into one slight problem where your smart observers will not, for the love of anything that's good, not read that the fact that there's a package there. All you might have to do is break this hopper right here, and I will reset the system, and then your smart observers will suddenly start updating again. It's a very weird bug. Also, make sure you have 2 items in here, so the packages can come out as fast as possible. Yeah, it's a very weird bug. I'm not sure what causes it. Hopefully it gets fixed. All right, bye bye.